2020 is etched in my memory for a whole lot of reasons. The tragic loss of Kobe and his daughter, the Black Lives Matter movement, and above all else, the COVID-19 lockdown.
That retired Los Angeles Lakers basketball star Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash.
But one of the protests,
Black Lives Matter,
quickly took on a life of its own.
COVID cases are back with a vengeance in Marin County this summer.
Businesses shut their doors to their customers, busy cities fell into silence, and schools turned into ghost towns without the giggling and chatter of students. And we had to sanitize our hands, avoid each other like the plague, and wear masks like surgeons. We were grounded by the government, and we all had to cheer for our favorite team from home. We weren't alone in this. Athletes were trapped in the same mess. They were forced to play with no one in the stands. For the NBA, they dubbed it the bubble. No crowd, no family, no friends, no nothing. Just them stuck in Walt Disney World in Florida. There were no road trips, no home advantage, no wild nights, no girlfriends. Any player who broke the rules would be quarantined for days. It was the league's way to keep everyone safe, but players hated it. No wonder they called it the hardest battle for a championship ever. And I agree, the 2020 NBA playoffs were downright exhausting, challenging, bizarre, and full of many surprises and memories. It was a glitch in the matrix and a bend in the fabric of time. So buckle up, let's take a trip down memory lane and unravel the 2020 NBA Finals. And while you're at it, please like and subscribe. March 11th, 2020, Rudy Gobert is taking questions ahead of the game against the OKC. He leans forward and playfully touches all the microphones and audio equipment in sight. It was a gesture poking fun at the paranoia of the public and, of course, the NBA. But he had no clue things were about to escalate really quickly. The following day, the Jazz took on the OKC. The game was moments away from tip-off. Fans eagerly anticipated the action. But NBA officials just got word of Gobert's positive test.
What was it like for you when it said to you that you tested positive?
I remember, it's almost like I was kind of in disbelief because I really didn't think that I could have it. You know, I was kind of surprised, to be honest, because just by the symptoms that I had, you know, for me it was just regularly like a small cold. Then I tested positive, and then a few days later I started to have like different symptoms that came.
The refs, team staff, and players discussed it. They chose to postpone the game and isolate the players. Eventually, the NBA suspended the season to slow down the spread of the virus. But months later, to resume the season, they came up with the idea of the bubble. After the 3-month suspension, the NBA restarted its season in the bubble. The bubble got most teams firing on all cylinders, especially the Heat. They entered the 2020 NBA playoffs as the 5th seed. They didn't have the look of a team that could go all the way. Besides, only 3 teams had made the NBA Finals after being seeded lower. They had the odds stacked against them. But in the first round, they sent a strong message to the entire NBA. It all started against the Pacers in the closing stages of Game 1. Butler caught fire from beyond the arc. He hit 2 big threes to seal the deal for the Heat.
I love that he was having fun with his little flip shot.
Well, you see it too.
Oh, Butler! Together stops. Butler spinning, Butler rising, Butler!
Then in Game 2, he passed the torch to Duncan Robinson, who hit 7 of 8 from the three-point line to put the Heat 2-0 up.
Robinson, a deep three, and that's why he's amongst.
In Game 3, Malcolm Brogdon went off for 34 points, 14 assists, and 7 rebounds, yet it wasn't enough to stop the Heat. In Game 4, the Heat completed a sweep of the 4th-seeded Pacers. Next up was the best team in the East, the Bucks.
They played the most preseason minutes. We saw that last year. We saw it again this year. Giannis bringing the goods.
Giannis up top, no defending that. Harris.
Butler was the catalyst for the Heat in Game 1. He put up a 40-point bomb to defeat the Bucks. Game 2 brought all the drama. With the scores tied at 111, Jimmy put up a 2 and he got fouled right at the buzzer. He shot 2 free throws to give Miami a 2-0 series lead. In Game 3, Butler waited till the fourth quarter to teach the Bucks a lesson. He dropped 17 points and helped the Heat shut down the reigning MVP in the final 12 minutes. The best team in the East was stunned. They were one game away from elimination. Then Chris Middleton took over in Game 4. He logged 36 points, including this nasty three-pointer to win the game for the Bucks.
To Middleton. Middleton's got hero on him. Middleton for three.
But in Game 5, with the Greek Freak gone, there was little Middleton could do. So Miami sent the Bucks packing to book their place in the Eastern Conference Finals. In Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, the Heat were only 2 points in front with less than 3 seconds left. Tatum went for a ferocious dunk, but Bam Adebayo produced one of the most sensational blocks we've ever seen to win the game for the Heat. To add insult to injury, playoff Jimmy scored the Celtics in 6 games. He came alive in the fourth quarters of those games and averaged 19.6 rebounds and 5 assists per game. With that, the Heat set the stage for a classic battle against LeBron and the Lakers. On the other end of the spectrum, the Lakers were the best team in the West. LeBron and Davis ran both ends of the floor. But in Game 1 of the first round, they were caught off guard by the 8th-seeded Blazers. Leonard had one of his best games, going off for 34 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds. However, the Lakers bounced back with 2 straight wins. Game 4 popped off on August 24th. The day honored Bryant's numbers 8 and 24. Meanwhile, the Lakers showed love to him by rocking their Mamba jerseys. But what happened in the game sent shockwaves throughout the NBA. In the first quarter, with 4 minutes and 58 seconds left on the clock, KCP scored a layup that put the Lakers up 24-28. The Stars had a line and the scoreboard remained that way for almost half a minute. See, the purple and gold grabbed the win that night and won one more game to set up a conference semifinals battle against the Rockets. The Rockets' small ball lineup caused issues for the Lakers in Game 1. They outscored them by 15 points. This fooled the Rockets into getting comfy, but the Lakers had figured out their play. The Lakers came back in Game 2 and dominated the paint. Without a big man to protect the rim, James had a field day bulldozing his way into the paint and dropping 28 points. Game 3 was much of the same story. The King led his Chargers to another victory with 36 points. And in Game 4, the small ball tactic came to bite the Rockets in the ass. The Lakers didn't only score more than 60 points in the paint, they also grabbed 52 rebounds. Needless to say, the Rockets struggled in those departments. In Game 5, the Lakers put the icing on the cake and wiped the floor with the Rockets, handing them a 25-point blowout win. Then in the Western Conference Finals, LeBron and Davis put on a clinic against Jokic and Murray and dominated the Nuggets to win Game 1. In Game 2, the Nuggets fought back through the Joker, but with 2 seconds left and the Lakers down by 1, AD did this.
Trying to disrupt Rondo, he puts it in. Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's good!
The Nuggets were inches away from snatching a victory in Game 2, so they built on that momentum in Game 3. Murray's 28-point double-double did the trick, but fast forward to Game 4, Davis and James bossed both ends of the floor to bring the Lakers one win away from the finals. In Game 5, James erupted for a 38-point triple-double to sink the Nuggets and set up the game of the ages versus the Heat. Game 1 was a bloodbath. The Lakers ran riot, but the Heat gave them a little scare, taking an early lead in the first quarter. But that was until Kentavious Caldwell-Pope flipped the switch. He snatched the ball from Tyler Herro like a bully taking candy from a kid. He positioned himself in the right wing and patiently waited for the pass. It arrived through Kuzma, and with the defense scrambling, he left the three fly. KCP would nail an identical three from the same wing, swinging the momentum in favor of the Lakers. And after that, the King and AD took over, torching the Heat with 25 and 34 points respectively. The Lakers take Game 1. In Game 2, Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic were both MIA due to injury, setting the stage for a Lakers beatdown. Right from the onset, the Lakers were out for blood, and you could tell they wore the Mamba mentality in their hearts, clad in their black Mamba jerseys. James started the onslaught, driving to the basket, dishing out passes and grabbing rebounds, and the Brow, he was scorching the Heat, going 7 for 7 in the third quarter.
Another basket. He's 7 for 7 in the third quarter, 15 of his 30 coming here in the third.
Both players paid their respects to the great Kobe, combining for 65 points. As for the Heat, Jimmy Butler went off for 25 points, 13 assists, and 8 rebounds, but the Lakers ran away with a 10-point win. The Lakers go up 2-0. Game 3 brought out playoff Jimmy in full force. He realized it was on him to carry the team with Dragic and Bam still sidelined. See, he was locked in, running the floor, driving to the basket, shooting jumpers, and doing it all. He got his team in front, but the Lakers fought to keep it close. But Jimmy owned the floor, and he came to win. So with the game on the line, he did the impossible. But it grabbed the ball and triggered a pick and roll to free himself. With the floor spaced out, he recognized his moment. He attacked the basket, bumped into Markieff Morris, and bulldozed his way through to finish a tough layup. With that move, he gave the Heat a 9-point cushion and crowned his night with a 40-point triple-double after 45 minutes on the floor. It felt like watching Allen Iverson's 2001 NBA Finals Game 1 masterclass against the Lakers. Crazy scenes. The Heat take Game 3, 2-1. Game 4 flipped the narrative. It was Anthony Davis who stuck the dagger in and got the Lakers a sweet 9-point lead in the final stretch. But the Lakers had a 2-point deficit in the third quarter. Then James pulled up from the logo and nailed a stupendous 3 to put the Lakers up by 1. Oh, the Lakers never looked back after this. They stayed in control till the end. This meant they had won 56 games, which they led going into the fourth quarter. As for Jimmy Butler, this wasn't his night. He only posted 22 points, 9 assists, and 10 rebounds. The worst part? He had the chance to give Miami the lead, but he missed a wide-open 3. Needless to say, Bam Adebayo's return from that neck injury wasn't felt much. One victory stood between the Lakers and the championship in the bubble, setting the stage for the drama of Game 5. In Game 5, Jimmy was on a mission to ruin the LA Lakers' night. He came back hot like in Game 3. He bullied his way to the basket, knocked down jumpers, and got his teammates involved, yet they ended up trailing with barely 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Shock was the last thing written on my face because LBJ was in beast mode. Dude exploded for a monster 40 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. Meanwhile, Butler was out of gas. His legs felt like bricks, heavy from all the crazy drives, defensive hustle, and pull-up jumpers. He was breathing hard, completely out of juice, but he wasn't about to give up. After all, when Jimmy Buckets is on the floor, miracles can happen. With his last breath, he locked in again, giving LeBron no breathing room. But LeBron attacked the basket and Jimmy chased him down and emphatically swatted his layup into the stands. Now that block deserved a standing ovation, but oh well, they were in the bubble and it fell into silence. Anyways, Butler wasn't done yet. He stripped Caruso to get the Heat the possession. Then he attacked the paint, drew the defense, and laid it off to a free Duncan Robinson who hit a dagger 3. It would be a back and forth between James and Jimmy after this, but Jimmy won the game for the Heat with 2 clutch free throws. Jimmy had left everything on the court, popping off for 35 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, and 5 steals to force a game. In Game 6, Butler gave Miami hope, but his gas tank was empty. He had hit his limit. Dude had a rough night, posting 2 points in the fourth quarter and managing just 12 points throughout the game. His offensive game was weak, and he was bricking his shots. He lacked his Game 5 aggression and was slow in transitions. Like LeBron in the 2018 NBA Finals, you could see the exhaustion in his eyes. On the flip side, LeBron was popping off. He was hustling for rebounds and he dropped 28 points on 65% shooting. His dominant performance was shown by this legendary sequence. He passes the ball to Caruso, who cuts to the basket. Caruso throws it back to him. He's wide open. He then drives and finishes with a monster slam, and of course, he draws the foul. It was over. LBJ's efforts were crowned with a 4th NBA title and a 4th Finals MVP. The look of relief on his face and in the faces of all the other Lakers players said it all. Despite 3 months of frequent COVID testing, setback, discomfort, isolation, no home advantage, and the lack of fans, the Lakers battled through and came out on time. Some believe the 2020 NBA championship was a Mickey Mouse title and the easiest ever won. But what makes this the hardest isn't simply the physical demands of the game or the exceptional skill set of the opponents, it's the intangibles, the invisible mental battles the players had to deal with in a total foreign setup. Much like the rest of us, they found themselves in a situation far different from what their normal routine was. They had to adapt to their new life and excel in the bubble. LeBron stated that it was tough to be separated from his family for 8 weeks. He found it difficult to motivate himself under the new conditions, and it turns out it was hands down the second hardest championship he had ever won. His teammate Danny Green, who had won 3 championships in his career, called this the hardest one he had ever won. Ex-Clippers forward Paul George likened the bubble to serving time in prison. On top of that, he admitted he just about lost his mind from living in the bubble. Former Warriors coach Mark Jackson said, "It is the hardest championship I have ever seen won in professional sport." What more can I say? When the stars and OGs call it the hardest championship ever won, it's hard to argue with that, right? Because they lived it, and analytics figures or highlights don't fully explain all the details. The mental strength, resilience, and drive of the purple and gold earned them a championship. So in my book, the 2020 NBA Finals will be remembered as arguably the hardest NBA championship in history. Or what do you think? Do you think the 2020 NBA Finals were the hardest in history? Let me know what y'all think. If you like this video, please check out the other content now showing on your screen. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.